What?
Oh, there's a goal!
Oh, at least I thought he was gonna, until he blipped.
I'm gonna be quite honest here. I believe that when the NBA and NHL had suspended play back in March, I figured they weren't coming back until at least the fall. Considering how late it was in the season, the amount of time off from play, and the sheer unpredictability of coronavirus, it wasn't a hard thought to ponder. Well, it's been both the longest and shortest 3 months we've been through. Longest as in we haven't had any of our circuses to distract us from the misery that is the world and our lives. Some of it has been necessary, but people get antsy. We don't have a lot of discipline and we want to get back to some semblance of a normal. My personal fear is that they're trying to boot things up too early in the cycle, thus forcing everything to get shut down after some sort of calamity. However, I am a pessimist by nature, and always fear such terrible outcomes. Perhaps I should have more optimism in life. The many sports leagues throughout the world are, particularly in North America. Despite the lengthy holdout of most leagues, there has been one sport that has been successfully running for a rather long time in the COVID era: NASCAR. It kind of makes sense. There is minimal physical contact between participants, barring the pit lane, and with proper procedures, they can keep outside influences to a minimum. After a 2-month hiatus, NASCAR resumed their year at Darlington on May 17. So far, it's been a relatively successful run. Doesn't hurt that it's pretty much the only thing going on in North America. They've had some pretty decent finishes, and ironically, the segmented races work in this scenario to limit social contact between pit crews. There are differences. Fans weren't allowed until recently, and even then, it's at an extremely limited capacity. The schedule has been condensed, and they are limiting the number of tracks they'll be racing at for the remainder of the year. That, and there's been some off-track controversy. It didn't help that it involved the only black driver on the circuit and an alleged noose they found in his garage. People were outraged. There were a bunch of feel-good moments and unity to protect their fellow driver. NASCAR supported their man, only for the news to be revealed as the cord for the garage door that was made months beforehand. A completely inadvertent situation. As much as it was feared, thank God it wasn't a legit hate crime at least. Just don't be Kyle Larson. I think that's at least a safe option in these times. I believe he'll be back in NASCAR eventually, but dropping an N-bomb in a public chat with video evidence, not a good look, man. It hasn't just been NASCAR that's been able to restart as of late, but the PGA Tour has had a few events take place as well. They haven't been going on as long as the auto racing circuit has, but it didn't take too many hiccups to start. Considering golf is a sport where it's easier than most to socially distance, it makes sense. There have been 2 tournaments played at this point: the Charles Schwab Challenge and the RBC Heritage, both without fans. They went off without a hitch. However, there seems to be the first crack in the armor that's been exposed. Brooks Koepka's caddy was diagnosed with coronavirus. For precautionary reasons, Koepka himself and several other golfers withdrew from the Travelers Open. Now the argument can be made that coronavirus is relatively mild in younger athletes and they should recover fully. But it's still a significant risk, and I don't blame them for withdrawing from sport. No one should. The question here is, can it be contained? If it can't despite more stringent procedures, then there may be an issue. I'm not one to really focus on the MLS, but in this case, it's another league trying to get back up and running. Like NASCAR, the MLS was in its infancy when COVID started wreaking havoc on the States. But unlike many others, it's going with a different approach. Instead of resuming the season, it plans on a special event called the Mls Is Back Tournament. It's a World Cup-style tourney where 26 teams are randomly seeded into 6 different groups that play each other on 3 different match days. The top 2 teams from each group make it to the playoffs, with 4 of the 3 seeds making it as wildcards of sorts. The rest plays out like a traditional tournament. Even if it may be gimmicky, it's honestly lucky that they even got to this point. The league was on the verge of a lockout due to an expiring CBA, but both groups managed to come to the table and agree to an extension that keeps labor peace until 2025. This tournament is celebrating this agreement in a way. Still better negotiating than the MLB had. The NBA was always in a contentious spot in terms of returning. The wave that started thanks to Rudy Gobert's ignorance was the main reason why everything got put on pause to begin with. Add to this that basketball isn't a sport where you can socially distance and you get a big fat question mark. So far, it appears that the NBA season will continue on, with some modifications. First of all, only 22 teams will be playing on to finish the regular season. 9 Eastern Conference and 13 Western Conference teams. Secondly, everyone will be restricted to 1 location: Disney's Wide World of Sports in Orlando, Florida, without fans in attendance. Finally, players can opt out if they feel it's not right for them to play. A few have already chosen not to go, including Davis Bertans, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Avery Bradley, and replacements can be signed to fill their roster spots. However, the return isn't set in stone. Have you seen what's been happening in America over the past month or so? Especially since it's in an area the NBA has been very active in, there are a lot of grumblings that they feel playing would overpower the discussions they want to have about injustices in the community. That or your Kyrie Irving going off the deep end and wanting to defect and start your own league. There are still many questions that need to be answered, but one thing has me worried. Isn't Florida starting to become another epicenter of coronavirus? Even for the tight bubble they'll have, can they really keep it that safe for the players? I didn't forget about the Wnba this time. They're coming back as well. Although I don't know how worth it returning will be, as it will only be a 22-game season and a lot of the league stars are opting out of play. It's something, I guess. Game on. The NHL is in the same boat as the NBA is. A league that was at the tail end of their season when the coronavirus hit stateside. For the sake of its salary cap and financial health, they were desperate to get it back up and running. They had to sacrifice a bit, but they may be able to do it. At this point forward, the regular season is over. 24 teams will move on to the postseason. Why did I say 24? It's because the 5th through 12th seeds in the Eastern and Western conferences will play a play-in series for the final spots in the playoffs. The top 4 seeds will play a round robin to arrange seeding. There will be 2 host cities for these games to minimize travel, but they are still in the process of being finalized. Don't get into the draft lottery, it's a madhouse in itself. Once again, a situation where there are still moving parts to be solidified, but it seems like they have a shot of getting it on track. The coronavirus cluster that occurred with the Tampa Bay Lightning will have to be neutralized and avoided at all costs with other teams, however.
Oh, it's you again.
I hate this as much as you do. Let's get this underway already.
Oh, we will. We're going to milk this for all we can.
Good, because we are too. People are on our side, you know.
Lovely. State your offer. We've guaranteed a season to the media, so we'll accept something.
How about an 89-game season with no pay cuts?
Except that we're going to lose too much money.
You kidding?
Nope. I don't think you really want to play.
Well, tell us where and when, man. Where and when?
Oh, a slogan. We're so scared. How about a 72-game season with some cutbacks?
You're only gonna pay us for about 50 games.
But didn't you say where and when?
Jesus, really?
You know what? We're not confident that we're going to have a season anymore. You boys are too stubborn to get anything done. 60-game season. That's that.
Make it 70 games.
No, 60. We'll even pay you your precious prorated salary. See? We can compromise.
Hard pass. This is still an insult to our interests.
That's it. We're done playing nice. It's obvious we aren't going to get anything done with you hard-headed punks. We're making this offer mandatory.
What?
You heard me. We're forcing you to play under our terms and our conditions. You have 1 week to respond to this offer. We'll see about your where and when narrative now. See you on the field.
Really? God damn it! Baseball has finally agreed to a deal to get back onto the diamond. Well, more the owners forcing a deal at gunpoint. At least the parents stopped fighting for a bit-ish. The season will be 60 games long with no extended playoffs, so an oddly short year given the circumstances. This is where things get very weird and very gimmicky. First order of business, there will be a universal DH. I'm not a traditionalist, so I'm fine with it. For every Bartolo Colon and Madison Bumgarner, there are 20 pitchers making me cringe at the plate due to lack of practice. Nothing will change that. There will also be a runner on second base starting in the 10th inning. Burn this shit immediately. This is a gimmick. It is bullshit and hypocritical. So much for integrity of the game, right? Speed up the game artificially. Good stuff. Spring training restarts on July 3rd if COVID doesn't infest most camps. It's taken out a good swath of teams practicing in Florida, unfortunately, and these teams will be going back to their home stadiums for the second spring training. Or is this summer training? Yeah, this is going to be interesting. The NFL is in a bit of a sticky spot. They haven't been really affected by the coronavirus unlike the other leagues, but training camp is inching closer and closer. The camps will not be at their traditional locations, but at their respective practice facilities away from fans. The league and players also get their wish and will be shortening the preseason as a result. But what about the regular season? Will there be fans allowed? Will they simply cram the parking lots for tailgates? Will it even start on time? Unfortunately, Dr. Fauci believes there may not be a football season due to the fears of coronavirus, possibly a stronger wave in the fall. It certainly won't stop the Shield from doing everything in their power to plow through. Have they ever been ones to simply fold up? God, no. They always go after the money. Every time. College football is even murkier. The main issue for me is if students aren't allowed to return to campus, then college athletics shouldn't be allowed to return either. No point in forcing young men and women to risk their health for bullshit like athletics when they can't even attend classes in person. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but fuck it. I don't care. I've never been one to care about popular opinion. Look at some of the other things I've done on this channel. So there is progress being made on trying to get sports started back up again. Some have been successful and some, like the XFL, have simply fallen, possibly to never get up again. There's still a long way to go for things like the NHL and NBA, and there are still the possibilities of curveballs being thrown that may impede the progress of getting back to playing. At least there's a little more hope than there was a few months ago. The questions are numerous, but in particular, can they maintain the trajectory? Let's hope so. So we're about ready to rev up and restart the sports world again, as we have seen, but there's still going to be a bit of a lull period before things get back to normal. At least as close as we can get. At this point, you're probably still sitting around at home looking for things to do. Well, let me help you a little bit with that thanks to the folks at ExpressVPN. We all know about their world-class encryption and privacy protection, but what about this scenario? Suppose I've watched every single thing on Netflix that I can think of, but what about the offerings for other countries? Usually I would get rejected because I'm an inferior Yankee, pesky region blocks, but let's change up my location with ExpressVPN's state-of-the-art network. A quick connection to a server locale in, say, the UK, and boom! I have more outstanding out-of-region content at my fingertips. It opens up a new world of opportunity, almost literally speaking. Premium servers offering the best speeds, locations in many countries, and a price that can't be beat. In fact, they're so confident in their product that they're going to give you 3 months of free world-class protection when you subscribe for a year. To get it, all you have to do is go to expressvpn.com/utree. Especially today, a personal VPN is vital. Not just for protection, but honestly for more entertainment options that were originally region blocked. That's what ExpressVPN can do for you. Thank them for sponsoring this video.